You look so serious. Look at you. You wrote a book.
Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing.
Hi, I'm Barry Sonnenfeld. This is Amy Sedaris. And we're here today. I'm going to be signing books, and you can buy the books I sign at premiercollectibles.com// the one that leans to the right, Barry. So I'm going to say that again, premiercollectibles.com/Barry. And Amy and I are going to chat about this book I wrote.
Which I read. I listened to the audio, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's really funny, and you're such a good storyteller. And I can say that because I'm a horrible storyteller.
No, you're not.
Yeah, no, that's why I talk fast all over the place because, I'm a poor storyteller, but you're so good at it, and you're really funny. I knew you were funny because we worked together.
We did.
When was the last time you and I saw each other with clothes on?
Probably, was it like 5 years ago?
Well, I want to say 5 years ago.
Yeah, let's say, if you want to say it, let's say it. 5 years ago, we worked together on a failed pilot. Didn't get picked up for Warner Brothers, called Dead Boss. It had a very funny premise, and we had a great cast, and Amy was truly hilarious. I loved every second. When I look at the call sheet and I saw that Amy was coming in, that was like a great day for me.
Oh,
because,
that's nice.
She just like her brother is an observer. I know this book is about me, but let's talk about you briefly, Ames.
I like to share stories.
Because she would listen to every crew member on the set and become a crew member. So she'd see me looking in the camera and know immediately that she was too short in the frame and would yell, "Give me a quarter, half, and full apple stat." And I adored her for that. And so she's helping me out today.
I live on quarter apple boxes.
Yeah, but seriously, with some people, it's got to be halves.
That's me.
Yeah.
So, Barry, you wrote a book.
Yeah.
You want to tell me what made you write a book? When did this finally hit you that, oh my God, I have a story to tell?
Okay, Ames, here's what happened, to be honest.
Okay.
10 years ago, for lack of anything to do, Sweetie, the wife, and I live in Telluride, Colorado. I had a few days with nothing to do, so for fun, I just wrote like a short story about my 9 days shooting 9 feature-length porns, just for something to do. I wrote the chapter, I put it away, nothing. And then a couple of years later, I said, "Hey, sweetie, read this and see if it's funny." And she read it, and she shook the bed with laughter, which for me is perfection.
Yeah.
Put it away. 5 years ago, my neighbor, Jerry Seinfeld, says, "You should be a stand-up comedian." So I said, "Aren't I too old to do stand-up?" And he said, "Oh yeah, you're way too old. You won't make any money." But that made me think, what could be like doing stand-up without doing stand-up? Because I do have all these stories, and I decided to write this book. And for 10 years, I had a column in Esquire magazine called The Digital Man, where I'd write about like technology. And the editor-in-chief of Esquire left, became a book agent, and asked me if I had a book in me, and I showed him the porn chapter.
Who was it?
David Granger.
Okay.
Granger. And Granger, I showed Granger the porn chapter, and he said, "Give me 2 more chapters and we can sell this." So the other chapter was Barry Sonnenfeld, Call Your Mother, about being paged at Madison Square Garden at 2 in the morning.
So good, yeah.
And Fear of Flying. And based on those 3 chapters, we sold it, and here I am today, the day the book is being published, by Hachette.
Wow.
And I'm with you, Amy.
And we're together. Well, okay, that's good. When you asked me to do this, I wondered how much it was how much you were gonna pay me, and when I could leave. So I'm just with that. I'm really happy I'm here.
I have 3 quarters on me because I know you need quarters for the laundromat.
I do.
So, yeah.
It drives me crazy. Okay, I'm gonna ask you some questions here.
I'm gonna sign while you're asking.
Okay, and you're gonna sign. Okay. Hold on, everybody. Okay, I already asked that. Okay, I'm gonna ask these questions here. All right, when you were growing up as an only child with overprotective parents, did you ever imagine that someday you would be signing copies of your memoir and be interviewed by someone like me? I'm asking.
I never thought I'd be interviewed by anyone like you because I couldn't imagine there would be anyone like you. I never thought I'd be writing a book. I never thought I'd be successful in any way.
Yeah, right.
I just thought I would be living at home, eating Swanson's TV dinners.
2 Swanson TV dinners.
Two, and it was either white meat turkey, because they made a white meat turkey that was not good. White meat turkey, fried shrimp,
Oh,
or
that's right.
fried chicken. The problem with the fried chicken is it had steps because you had to start the chicken covered and then uncovered. So you had to go back into the kitchen, which was filled with cockroaches. Yeah.
I love that you would spray the bug spray on the water.
On the water, yeah. So you would
God, dang it.
eat something that required, the TV dinners didn't require a plate, but occasionally Mom would make brisket. So you'd have the plate, you put the plate and the silverware into the sink that had been sitting there for months with a stopper in it, filled with water. You put the dishes in and then just spray some Raid over the water, and then you would turn the lights off so the cockroaches could have the kitchens back.
Well, it said every time you walked into the kitchen, you'd have to yell or throw something to make sure all the bugs,
Right.
Got out of your way before you get there. But also,
The door swung in both directions, so you would open the door this much, reach in, turn the light switch on with the door closed, give the roaches about 30 seconds,
yeah,
and then you could enter.
yeah. I've always had a cockroach problem. I don't now, but I just, God, they're awful. And also your love of, I wrote this on tinfoil. Your description of tinfoil, it's got to be like in every chapter. But you're so good at describing it, like especially when it's all burnt and you peeling the tinfoil off every little bit of food that you had to cook on it, and the use of the broiler.
Right.
The broiler pan, you put the tinfoil on it, you stab it with a fork. I mean, I love tinfoil.
Do you?
My fear is running out of tinfoil. I like the extra strength.
Yes.
I like the long, the short.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with tinfoil. But you did a really good job.
Reynolds makes a fine extra strength product.
They sure do.
And there's nothing better than the sound of...
Nothing better.
Nothing better. But my mother used the tinfoil so that she wouldn't have to clean the broiler.
Yeah, but you do anyway.
But you do
'cause you have to stab it with a fork.
Well, you had to because my mother, because the tinfoil would create a grease fire because the grease wouldn't go in the holes.
Right.
So Dad and I would be in my bedroom or his bedroom. We would suddenly, there'd be a layer of smoke and fog, and you'd know that there was a fire in the kitchen, and you had to use Morton salt to put. All right, so now you've done that. You've flipped it over. Now the fire starts again. More Morton salt. But the best part of the brisket or the skirt steak were those burnt end morsels, right? So you would try to get most of the aluminum foil off the edges, and of course, it's why I have Alzheimer's, is because I've eaten a lot of tinfoil in my life.
Yeah. That was a good one. Okay, hold on. Look how organized I am.
In the meantime, I'm signing books.
Listen, did you read any books about like biographies or autobiographies before you read your book? Or did you read? You said you didn't read This Boy's Life, right?
No, I did read Educated, and I read Glass Castle.
Glass Castle.
And here's what happened.
Okay.
I thought, isn't that interesting that this person's 3 years old, and they're saying, I awoke as the wheat was blowing across my window and the sun was rising, and I'm thinking, you don't remember that. You're making stuff up. So when I started to write this book, I tried to do that.
Yeah.
And started to write fancy. And then I realized that I'm a storyteller more than a early morning wheat being blown by the eastern wind. So I've took that stuff out, and I just couldn't write. I couldn't write fancy like that.
Right.
So I wrote stories, and then I recently listened to Demi Moore's book, which I thought was great, and I thought, well, I can't write that good either. But then I found out that it was written by a New Yorker writer, so
he's really good.
Who's really good,
Yeah,
so that
really
made
good.
me feel good too. So this book is entirely, Amy, 100, as you can tell, is in my voice, written by me.
It's good. Also, Queen of Sheba. I don't know I can't think of who wrote that book. Anybody? Maybe somebody will write in. That was a good one about this woman's crazy mother. And The Monkey by Susan Minot is a really good book. But anyway,
Crazy Mothers.
but your book read like almost like you did it in front of an audience, so you had it had such a good sense of timing. You know what I mean? That's what it read like. Didn't whoever edited it What?
Brant Rumble, who sounds like a porno star.
Well, you worked in porno. You want to talk about that?
No, I don't
You
think
want
I
to talk
do.
about the worm?
No,
Oh, come on. Okay, well, it's worth buying the book for it. How about that?
Well, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
the first thing I wrote was this chapter about shooting 9 feature-length pornos in 9 days, and the last day ended horribly wrong when I got covered in a warm, loamy fountain of human excrement. But that's just one little part of the book.
You got to start somewhere. And I love that you were born on, I'm going to write this down, April Fool's Day. I can't even believe you didn't make that up.
The great thing about being born on April Fool's Day is, on the one hand, everyone remembers your birthday.
Sure.
And on the other hand, you get huge boxes of Godiva chocolate where each box has a bite taken out of every piece of chocolate because they think it's so damn funny. And it's not really. But they remember the birthday, and I'll eat them anyway. Or I would until the coronavirus. Now I'm less interested.
I know.
You know, my birthday is only a couple weeks away.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm going to get you a copy of your book.
Oh, that'll be great. Thanks.
You have you obviously talk a lot about your parents and everything, which is fantastic. But I love the story of your dad stealing your bar mitzvah money to pay the electric bill. Oh, and your silver coins. Oh, your silver coins.
Yeah, the silver dollars.
Wow.
Yeah, there used to be those books, and you would put
Yeah.
a coin in each sleeve, kind
yeah.
of. Yeah, and my father taught me, although they were Jewish parents, they didn't want me to be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. My mother wanted me to be an artist. My father kept saying, figure out what you want to do in life that will make you happy, and you'll somehow find a way making a living at it. Like me, he said, and he was very happy, but we never had electricity or the phone, and could never go past Lou the Butcher because we owed him too much brisket money. So in any case, he eventually at one point stole my 22 silver dollars, each worth about $25, and used them as dollars to get kind of turn our electricity back on. And suddenly, after my bar mitzvah, all my bar mitzvah money was missing. He you know, all the e-bonds and all the $25 checks were missing, and suddenly we had electricity again. It's one of the reasons that I no longer believe in God.
Wow, he sounds
Bless
like,
you,
I know.
Amy.
It's allergies. I swear to God. I'm trying this new hay out. I have a rabbit, and I'm trying a new kind of hay. And I was literally laying on it, and it just went right into my.
Well, who lays on hay if your
Because she
name
went to the
isn't
vet.
Emmy
She
Lou?
was sick. I was laying. It's a long, exhausting story.
How old is your rabbit?
6.5.
How old was your last rabbit when it?
12.
When
12.
it?
That's a long time. 12.
How
Rabbits
much
are
did it
hay
weigh?
burners. Fun facts. A hay burner. And all your ex-girlfriends were lesbians. Are lesbians? Is that
No,
true?
it's just that at Hampshire College, I had sex with a bunch of women who became lesbians after having sex with me, which I took as a compliment because I think they realized that after me, no other man could satisfy them.
Here you go. Yeah, right.
And that was the reason they
Oh, is that
became.
why?
Yeah, no, don't you think that's the reason?
yeah, sure. That sounds like a good reason to me.
Yeah, I mean, what other reason could it be?
I think you're right. That reason. I think you're right.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the 21 millimeter lens. Okay, I can't even believe I wrote that down. Usually I would get sleepy time when I hear things like that. You know, first of all, the talking about the Knicks, was it the Knicks?
Yeah,
And
right.
things like that. The kind of stuff doesn't really interest me too much, but I hung
Right.
on to every word.
Thank you.
And then you went into the camera lenses and the type of camera lens, and I thought, wow, people who are really into that must really know what you're talking about. And
But
really
you
appreciate
enjoyed it yourself, didn't you?
I did. I
Yeah.
learned about the 21 millimeter lens, about how it takes the wide,
Yes.
and then you can tell us what
Where to
you want us, where you want us
That's
to
right.
look.
But never pan.
Never
See,
pan.
you were panning just now.
Oh, I didn't mean
You don't
pan.
want to pan. You want to track.
You want to track big dick.
Never
That's right, because you
track.
said you were on a dolly.
Or track this way. Never
Right.
pan. Pan is a lazy thing to do.
So lazy.
Here's the thing, Amy.
Yeah. Okay.
See, before I became a writer, I was a cinematographer. I shot the first 3 Coen Brothers movies.
That's right.
Blood Simple, Raising Arizona, Miller's Crossing. Throw Mama from the Train, Big, When Harry Met Sally, Misery. And now I'm a director and a writer. And I discovered that I could be a character in the movie, even though I was not an actor like you, that I could, with the camera, use it not as a recording device, but as a sort of character.
Right.
So if you use a wide lens, like here I am, with a 21 millimeter, I am seeing from your knees to your face. And with this little move, this tiny little move, I'm now in a close-up of you, which means that this is a very dynamic, energetic kind of lens. So I discovered that the 21 millimeter was funny. And in fact, Billy Crystal was in Throw Mama from the Train. It was always shot with a 21 millimeter, very funny movie. And then he did City Slickers, and he called me up and he said, Barry, you know, I'm doing City Slickers with this other cameraman, and he's using telephoto lenses. What's going to happen? I said, not going to be funny, Billy.
Wow.
So
and it wasn't, was it?
It was
okay.
It was okay. Yeah.
Who's taller, me or Danny DeVito? Quick.
Oh
rapid-
God, you.
Am I taller than Danny
Oh
DeVito?
yes, by a foot.
So he needs like a quarter apple box, or
He
half
needs a
apple
full
box?
apple.
He needs a full apple.
He needs a full apple,
You just made my day.
unless you want the comedy of not having a full apple.
Oh, okay.
My niece, who was like 3, visited the set of Throw Mama, and she was 3 at the time, and she said to Danny, "Why are you so short?" And Danny said, "Why are you so short?" And my niece said, "I'm 3."
So it's your mom who actually suggested that you go to film school, right? When you talk about what you enjoy doing and making money at it, you didn't really know what you wanted to do till like, that was at 21? Were you
Right.
21? Right. And then she suggested film school. She said she'd pay, which they didn't.
No.
Which you can't be surprised by that, right?
No, because she was a pathological liar, and
Right.
my parents had no money. I went to NYU undergraduate school in the Bronx. There used to be a campus called University Heights in the Bronx, and the reason I went to that school was because my mother said if I went to sleepaway school,
Right.
others call it college, she would commit suicide. And this was not the first time she had threatened to commit suicide. So I spent 3 years living at home, attending NYU in the Bronx, and then when I was going to be a senior, they sold the campus and said, you all have to go downtown. And I refused. I said, I don't want to go downtown. So they said, go to any school you want for your senior year, and we'll give you a degree. So I thought I could go away to college, and my mother would commit suicide.
Double
2
whammy.
birds, 1 stone.
Yeah.
So I went to Hampshire College for my senior year, and she didn't commit suicide.
Yeah.
So now I've graduated, and I have no idea what I want to do because I was a political science major, because it met Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so I only had to go to college 3 days a week. NYU Uptown was like day camp. There was no campus, or there's no dorms or anything. So I spent the year doing nothing, taking photos, trying to write. And my mother, fearing I was going to like move to LA or something, which I wasn't going to, said, go to film school. You like to write. You like still photographs. Movies are just a lot of still photographs taped together. Not true.
No. But
And writing. So I went to NYU literally so I wouldn't have to look for a job. And at the end of 3 years of graduate film school, I discovered that I had a talent to be a cameraman. So I bought a used camera so I could, without being a dilettante, actually say I'm a cameraman.
right.
And the rest almost is history. Should we talk about Joel Cohen?
Yes, let's talk about Joel Cohen. But first of all,
Yeah.
I had something I was going to ask you. Oh,
Yeah.
you didn't spend your first night away from home until you were 17.
No.
And then tell me about film school. Oh, yeah, a lot of people, big people, graduated the same time you did, right? And then you got that scholarship and you didn't even know about it.
NYU is sort of a mess that way. It's why they don't ask me to come and talk to
okay,
classes,
yeah.
because I would say mean things about them. But
Okay.
After the first year, I received a full scholarship to NYU, but they forgot to
They
tell
forgot
me.
to tell you, please.
So I became a teaching assistant. And the reason I got the full scholarship was because I was really mean to the chairman, and he forgot why he remembered my name.
Oh,
So I got a full scholarship for being mean to him. But NYU, here's the thing about film school. It's a really great place to spend 3 years because you don't have to look for a job. and you learn a lot making movies.
Mm-hmm.
You don't learn a lot from the teachers.
Right.
But making movies.
And you said that's the thing. Go out and make a movie.
Just go out and make a
do it.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's even easier because when we were at film school, there were no video cameras. So you went to film school because they had 16 millimeter Arriflexes and NPRs and ACLs. But now anyone can go out for $1,000, buy a really good video camera, and start making their own movies. So
Right.
you really don't need to go to film school.
Yeah. There you
That's
go.
my advice. Unless you don't want to get a job.
And then, so yeah, let's talk about the Coen Brothers.
Well, so I have this camera because I bought a used 16 millimeter camera, and I was at a party one night, and there were two Jews in the room, me and this tall guy that looks like Howard Stern, and that was Joel Coen. We kind of smelled each other across the room, and we started to talk, and he had told me that he and his brother Ethan had written a script for Blood Simple, their first movie, and they were going to shoot a trailer as if it were a finished movie and use that to raise the money to eventually make Blood Simple. So I said, well, you know, I own a camera, and he said, you're hired. So we went out and we shot the trailer. Took us a year. He went back to Minneapolis, where he's from, and got the list of the Hadassah list, which are all the Jewish women that have money in Minneapolis. And Ethan and I stayed in New York and showed the trailer to dentists, investing clubs, and stuff like that. And a year later, on the set of Blood Simple, was the first day that Joel, Ethan, or I had ever been on the movie set.
Wow.
By the way, a lot of this is in the book,
Right.
Barry Sonnenfeld, Call Your Mother, and also you can buy these
You're so
particularly
good.
signed books at premiercollectibles.com/Barry.
Okay.
And these are the ones you and I are signing right now. Well, I'm signing, you're watching.
I'm watching you. I'm staring at you.
I loved working with Amy. She's so smart, and she was so incredibly funny and alive on the set, and that's probably why the show didn't get picked up. But
Well, I loved working with you, and I remember when I first met you, and I talked to you. I was like, "You don't want to hire me, remember?"
you so didn't want to do it.
Well,
I
know,
yeah.
I know, I didn't want to do it.
You didn't want to
And-
do
and-
it.
But
You
I
didn't want
liked
to
you
be.
so much, and you were
Yeah.
like, "Amy, do it," and I said, "Okay."
I think I did say
You
Amy,
did.
I
You
may
did.
have said Amy, just do it.
Yeah, that's what you did. Yeah.
Yeah, because she was saying, what if it gets picked up, then I got to do this every week for 22 weeks. I don't think, Amy, just do it.
He did. That's exactly what you said, and he did it. I did it, didn't
Just
I?
buy the book.
And who's here right now?
You are.
Who sent me an email and said, "Does this email still work for you?" I could have not answered. I could have been like,
You could have,
Yeah.
and that would have meant that it wasn't your email,
That's
and I
right.
never would have contacted you again ever.
I bet you contacted like 8 people before
I bet
you.
I only contacted you.
Really? Is that true?
It's so
Okay.
true.
I'm doing a caricature of you right now. Tell me about your dog Whiskey.
Well, thank God Whiskey is dead. But my mother one day decided, I was like, I don't know, 14, 15. My mother decided we needed a dog. It was never discussed. So she went to the bus terminal. I grew up in
I love this
Washington
story.
Heights,
Yeah.
you know, where Lin-Manuel Miranda grew up, and Henry Kissinger. And she found a 4-year-old dog wandering around the bus terminal somehow, which makes you think, don't take that dog
Yeah.
home. But she did, and of course the dog, because it's a dog my mother found, had epilepsy. And also because my mother spent all of her waking hours on her bed with a white, wet, damp towel over her eyes,
Right.
because she always had a pain behind her eye. She was always afraid she was going to have an angina attack, and needed to be a martyr. So she was a chapter chairman of her local branch of the United Federations of Teachers.
Art teacher. She was an art teacher.
She was an art
Yeah.
teacher. And so she brings home this dog, which means I'm in charge of the dog, because Dad is never home because he's having various affairs with
Right.
lighting designers. And my mother's on bed with a damn towel, so I'm in charge of the dog. And at some point, I would be in my bedroom, and Whiskey would have an epileptic attack, usually in front of her dog. door. So Mom would say, "Oh, you hold on, Bernice. Take the towel off, go in the kitchen, get a spoon out of the Raid-coated sink," which may have helped his epilepsy a great deal, and put the spoon in my dog's mouth so it wouldn't swallow its tongue, but then just left it there. So now what you have is a rattling spoon. That sounds like someone playing the spoons because it's right. So at that point, I hear it because the sound is deafening. So I would get out of my bedroom because my door was closed. I'd go see Whiskey, who's now urinated all over himself in the floor, and I would, Mom would also look up and say, "Your dog is having an epileptic attack." Thanks, Mom. And then you hold on to his snout, which stops the horrible rattling, and eventually he would calm down. I'd go get some paper towels, wipe the urine off, and then take the poor dog for a little walk. And then one Saturday, my father, who was weirdly home, said, "I'm going to take Whiskey for a walk." And then he came home without the dog, and that was the last we had ever seen of Whiskey.
That's a good chapter, man. It was just ended with my dad took Whiskey for a walk.
Right.
Done.
That
was it.
Done. We know what happened.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I like that you call the MIR machine a guided meditation. And how
do you feel the same way?
I haven't had one yet, but I love that and also in the office you had the couch, and then you had a board over it, almost like you created your own coffin. But you're not claustrophobic at all.
No, I'm the opposite of claustrophobic.
I've never met anyone who isn't so claustrophobic.
I needed a way to sort of cuddle myself because there was not a lot of warmth at the house. So
there wasn't any.
There was none. Well, that's not a lot.
Right.
The first thing I did is...
He got me.
I got her. First thing I did is I used sheets too big for my bed, so I would tuck the sheets in really deeply and then sleep off the bed in like the cocoon that the sheets created as a swaddling technique, I assume. But what you're referring to is I worked with the very famous producer Scott Rudin. Have you ever worked with Rudin?
I have.
Let me guess.
A long time ago.
First Wives Club?
No. I didn't work with him. I almost worked with him. I apologize. I met him.
Well, he's a force.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
And he produced Addams Family and somehow got me hired to direct Addams Family, even though I was a happy cameraman, wasn't looking to be a director. But he would scream at me in his office in LA on a Paramount lot. And I realized that the way to deal with him was to out-juvenile him. So when he would scream at me, I would take all the cushions and bolsters off of his couch and build a fort. Crawl inside the couch fort, put the last remaining pillow back in there so it was totally sealed, and then I would yell at him, "I can't hear you, I'm in the fort." And what was great is, because he's a juvenile delinquent, he would scream at me, he would curse at me, but he would never invade the sanctity of the fort and never say, "Schmuck, there's no fort, there's a bunch of pillows." He'd say, "Get out of the fort." And I'd say, "If you apologize, I'll get out of the fort."
Oh my God.
And eventually he'd say, "All right, I'm sorry now." And I said, "Okay, now I'm getting out of the fort." And it was something I did and something he accepted. It's like when a kid, like you say, "Don't worry, just let the kid's going to come in and pretend he has an imaginary friend, go with it." That was me and Rudin.
Oh my God. That's really funny. And can I ask if you collect, do you collect art? Do you have any art?
We do have some art.
Is a lot of it photography? Because you mentioned a bunch of photographers you were inspired by.
Yes.
What do you have?
We have some photographic art. We have several photos by my wife's former husband, Elliot Erwitt, who is my favorite photographer. And in fact, when I got out of high school, college, and graduate school, the first call I made was to Elliot Erwitt to see if he needed an assistant. Little did I know that the reason I kept trying to reach him.
He said the stable's full.
He kept saying the stable's full.
I love that expression. Yeah, that was
the other thing he does is he answers the phone by saying, "Speaking." So you would call up and you would hear speaking, and then you'd go, "Hi, is Elliot there?" And then you go, "Oh, he just said speaking."
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah.
Anyway, I ended up many years later marrying the woman
that's right.
who Elliot.
That's
you
right.
met Sweetie on the set.
I did meet Sweetie on the set. Yes, I did.
Lovely woman, just spectacular.
Yes. Oh, that's funny. I forgot that was his. That's right.
Yeah. So I eventually got hired by Elliot, and I worked with Elliot for many years. And at some point, Sweetie and Elliot went their separate ways, and I called myself Sweetie's favorite girlfriend. I would read, like, when Sweetie and Elliot were together, I'd read like Self magazine. Do you remember Self?
Yeah.
I would say, "Have you and Elliot tried the new Today sponges?" And now Sweetie and I are about to celebrate our 31st wedding anniversary.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. No. So yes. So
That's
Elliot
really
Irwin, I bought Sweetie for de Kooning drawings when I thought I was going to be rich. When I was for her 50th birthday.
Wow.
I'm not rich. I didn't become rich, but we still had the de Koonings. So there's that.
Okay. Cockroaches, I got that. I'm going to say, we already asked that. Do you have any new films in the works?
You never have anything new in the works until it happens.
Right, it's true.
It's true.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there might be something that you'll be hearing about soon, Amy.
Okay. All right. Go on.
And I know you're going to desperately want to come out to Vancouver and work with me for 6 weeks.
Hold, please. What is your favorite thing about directing?
Well, my favorite thing about directing, there are two favorite things.
Okay.
One is I'm totally in charge, and whatever I say, people have to do.
Yeah, wow.
I get to say I want to be there, and then manly men are moving ladders and stuff just because I said so.
Yeah, you like that.
I love being in charge.
But don't you get tired? Everyone has to ask you a million questions.
Well, yeah. Thursday at around 4 p.m., you're done for the week. And you come home that night, and Sweetie says, "What do you want for dinner?" And you say, "You got to decide. Don't.
Right.
I'm done." So there is that. You just literally start every new Monday with 3,600 available answers, and once you use them up, you're done.
You're done.
You're doing the same thing with your show.
Another question.
Another
or even
question.
Exercising. If I'm working out with my trainer and like 3 more, or let's do 1 more. I'm like, just 1 more drives me crazy with directors. If they say 1 more, just say, let's do another. Don't tell me you're going to do 1 more and then there's 10 more
10
takes.
more 1 mores. By the way, here's the other thing.
I can't stand that. Now I'm mad. I'm mad all over again. Yeah,
don't even say 1 more.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Or let's do another. Here's what you got to say. Let's do 1 more a lot faster.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason to do 1 more unless you're doing something different.
Right.
Because you got it. So what do you want to do different? You want me to be angrier, sadder, funnier? So never say 1 more. Never say let's just do another. And the answer always is 1 more much faster. Because that's the one you end up using.
Right.
The second reason I love directing is because I direct from a saddle. I think I had a saddle.
You had a saddle.
I now
and a
have
big cowboy hat.
I so want to be a cowboy, but I'm afraid of horses, snakes, and the outdoors. So by directing, I get to wear a saddle, and I have a new saddle, Amy. Yeah, get this. The producer on the last season of A Series of Unfortunate Events had the production company modify a rascal. A rascal are the things that old people drive around their
Jazzy
their community.
rascal.
Right. So I got one of they got that. They took the chair off, put a big manly saddle on it. So I now have a motorized saddle with a joystick, so I can race right up to you and go, Amy, 1 more, just like faster.
Yeah.
But I won't just say 1 more. I'll say 1 more faster. And you're right, because it's never 1 more. It's 3 more. An airplane comes, cut, let's go again.
That you can hear and or just tell me, oh, it's a lighting thing, or just tell me why. But it just puts you in a bad mood.
It really
And then
does.
I don't want to play anymore. I'm a 1-take person myself.
Really?
No, but 1 take meaning I love someone saying you have 1 take. You can only do this once because breakaways, whatever it's going to be.
Right.
But I feel like my best take is the first one. Oh, okay. I'm going to ask you some questions. Some random questions right here that
Really?
they're not my questions, somebody else.
Do I have to answer very quickly
Let's
and
see
not
how
think
fast you
about
can
it?
do it.
Okay.
Who would you like to have dinner with, past or present? Now that's a question, but I'm going to change it up. I'm going to say, what would you serve?
Caviar.
Caviar.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you know what? And the
What?
person I would want to serve it to is someone who doesn't like caviar.
Okay, well, I'm
Yeah.
coming. Okay, which one? Game of Thrones or Stranger Things?
I've seen neither one. They both seem very scary.
Okay. What is your favorite breakfast food?
I'm gonna go eggs.
Eggs. How do you like them cooked?
Scrambled, a little bit of cheese.
Okay, and do you want to talk about your mom's recipe for hard-boiled eggs, which is fantastic?
Here's
story.
my mother's hack for hard-boiled
God.
egg. Okay, you take a dozen eggs, you put them in a pot to boil. You go back to your bedroom, put a wet, damp towel over your eyes, and call a member of the UFT. Okay. Eventually, what happens is the water boils out of the pot of eggs,
Yeah.
and you are now frying hard-boiled eggs,
Yeah.
right? So at some point, they explode, and due to the size of the pot, they have nowhere to go but to your ceiling. They splatter all over the ceiling. Then you come home and you smell World War II, which is the smell of sulfur, and you get your kitchen painted. And that's how my
my
mother made
God.
hard-boiled, just the ceiling.
Oh my
We had our
God.
kitchen ceiling painted twice a year.
And where was that apartment?
Washington Heights, 635 West 174th Street, apartment 5J.
Wow. Do you ever go by there? Is it who? You don't know who lives there, but do you ever just drive by?
You know what? I don't, but my cousin Kenny, not cousin Mike the child molester, my cousin Kenny sent me a photo. He was there last week, and they put a new fake fancy front with pillars in front of the, so it's very exciting.
Class. Sounds
Yeah,
classy.
classy.
What's your favorite music?
Neil Young.
Oh, okay. Well, that was easy. Who's a citizen now?
I know.
How about that?
I love, and he lives in Colorado, Telluride, Colorado.
Do you know him? Do you hang out with him?
I don't know him, but if Neil, if you're listening, I'm in Telluride, and boy, I'd love to bring you over and serve you caviar.
Wow,
Come
Neil.
with Daryl. You know, he's
Yeah,
married to
I
Daryl.
sure do, yeah.
He did a concert in Telluride a few years ago that was extraordinary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You've got to
Yeah,
come
yeah.
if you don't
Okay.
have oxygen problems.
Yeah, we'll have.
Bring the rabbit.
We're gonna. Yeah. Okay. Who was your favorite? Your rabbit. Who was your idol growing up?
Mickey Mantle.
That's right.
And Elliot Erwitt.
Yes. Okay. What is your favorite international cuisine?
Chinese. If I could only eat one meal the rest of my life, it would be Chinese food.
What kind? Moo gai huh? What would it be?
Well, you know,
You're like.
I'm going to tell you, Amy, and
Okay.
I'm not going to be able to say it with that such a cool Chinese accent the way you did. Anything with pork,
Okay.
spare ribs,
Oh yes, spare ribs.
any
Okay.
shrimp dish, any lobster
Yeah, you
dish,
love the
anything
shrimp.
that's trafe, I'm there.
Okay. All right. What is your favorite candy bar?
Snicker.
Do you like it frozen or do you like it room temp?
Frozen was always good, but I'm going to go room temp.
Okay. Do you have a favorite season?
Yes, autumn.
Autumn. That's my favorite season.
Yeah, it's beautiful,
Yeah, it's
and it
perfect.
means that it's going to get depressing soon.
It.
Always good.
Yeah, I don't mind winter. A lot of people hate winter, but that's tells
You know
me when I
what?
can turn my oven on. I mean, you know what I mean? When it gets dark out early, I
Yeah.
love it. I love 5 o'clock, pitch dark, oven goes on, curtains come down. It's great.
Do you start a fire or you just put the oven on? Just
Put the oven on.
Just the
I have a
gas.
fireplace and I can use it, but I haven't used it in a couple years. What's your favorite? Oh, well, this is broad, but what's your favorite childhood memory?
Sleeping.
Yeah, that's great. Did you
Thanks,
ever?
Ames.
Did you ever have an imaginary friend?
No.
Okay, and do you have a favorite animal?
Yes. I've always loved the koala. Koala. Can you
What?
pronounce it so it sounds like I?
Koala.
Yeah, thanks.
Why?
They were kind of cute and sad, and you know, I hear they're nasty, but I didn't know that growing up. And I had a stiff koala.
Who gave it to you? Who
Weirdly,
gave you? Yeah.
my father, he was in New Guinea during World War II, and would have R&R in Australia. And in fact, one of my chapters is about how whenever my mother cooked a particularly bad meal, which would have to be particularly
Always. Oh my God.
my father and I would look at each other and go, Fisk, because Lieutenant Fisk was eaten by the Japanese during World War II. And my mother would go, oh, you guys.
What's your go-to workout? Because you look fit as a fiddle. You look really healthy.
Well, that's the makeup because I was on Kelly
that's
this
right.
morning.
He is. He's right.
You know what? Here's my thing. We live in Telluride, Colorado. Our house is at 10,000 feet. If we were an airplane, we would have to be pressurized. So walking the dog, I walk 1.5 miles a day with the dog. Not Whiskey, he's dead.
Yeah.
We have a Portuguese water dog named Buddy. And so that's my exercise, walking at 10,000 feet.
And are you? You mentioned airplane. I know you've got a great chapter in your book about the airplane crash.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to go into it, but it's a really good chapter. But how long did it take you to get on another airplane after that one?
Oh, the next day. Here's the amazing thing. I always viewed getting off an airplane as a failed suicide.
I love that.
I always was in fear of flying. I was in an airplane crash. We destroyed 5 other parked airplanes, cars, fences, and what I learned is the reason you're afraid of flying is unlike, let's say, a car crash, which is like instantaneous and you're dead, or unlike a long illness that might take years. The problem with a plane crash is for 4 minutes, you know you're going to die. And what's that 4 minutes going to be like? Are you going to regret the past? Are you going to weep uncontrollably? Are you going to think, I never should have gotten But here's what happened. You just go calm and you know you're going to die, which is what happened to me. In fact, I tried different line readings of "And Now I Die."
Yeah. Which I wrote down would have been a good title for your book also.
And Now I Die.
I thought that wouldn't be a bad title for a book, but then I liked your title. But go on.
But would it be "And Now I Die" or would it be "And Now I Die"? Where do you put
like
the italics on?
I think the first way you said it. Maybe.
And Now I Die.
Maybe. Well, now you've now I have to think about it. I don't know. Anyway. So.
In any case, what happens is you learn that it's okay.
Yeah.
And it made me a better flyer. In fact, the flight attendant sued the company and got money, but I couldn't sue because it made me a better flyer. It's a really good chapter.
It's a really good chapter. And you said you went on Letterman, and Letterman knew the pilot. I love that.
Letterman knew the pilot and had, Letterman has so much orange makeup, and he turned as white as a ghost.
Wow.
Which is hard for Dave wearing that stuff. Letterman said, "Oh my God, was that Gloria?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "She used to be my pilot." So he went home thinking, wow.
Yeah, he knew.
Yeah.
Somebody could write a book on the conversations you have with Letterman between, during the commercial break.
Well, as you know, it's a rare person that gets to have that joyful experience.
Yeah.
You did, I did,
yeah.
Most don't.
Yeah, I guess so, right. Yeah, that's a good chapter. When did you ever leave home? Oh, what do you never leave home without? Oh, we have to wrap up soon. All right, I'll make these faster. All right, what do you never leave home without?
2 watches, 3 phones, and
wow.
Lots of chapsticks.
Okay. Do you have a favorite superhero?
No.
What's your favorite time of the day?
Can you what?
Okay. What's your favorite time of the day?
5. It's when you can actually have your first martini.
Have you ever been in a hot air balloon?
No.
No, isn't that so awful with a hot lunch? Okay, what is your favorite? What is your favorite board game?
Growing up it was Monopoly, because here was the secret to winning a Monopoly. If you really wanted Boardwalk and the guy wouldn't sell it to you for $2,000, use real money. I would give him like a quarter or 50 cents, and so I was always.
Didn't steal from you. What's your favorite pizza topping?
Pepperoni.
Did you ever have a favorite teacher?
Yes.
Who's your favorite teacher?
Oh, Mr. Polisi.
What did Mr. Polisi teach?
Social studies.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's nice. What was he nice to you?
He called me Mr. Sonnenfeld.
Mr. Sonnenfeld.
Yeah.
And then you had a teacher who called you Mr. Mr.
The Little Professor.
The Little Professor, because you had a
Yeah.
little button-down shirt.
Yeah.
And do you like popcorn with or without butter?
Without.
Who's your favorite author?
Sedaris.
Oh, there you go. Who has impacted you the most?
My wife,
Oh, nice.
Sweetie Sonnenfeld.
All right, we can wrap after the game. Does that mean that's it? All right, listen to me. Listen to me.
Wait.
This book is really, really funny. Educational. It's very educational. I learned a lot. Look, 20 millimeter lens.
21.
21 millimeter lens. I mean, really. I didn't know anything about you. I mean, I knew of your films, obviously, and I worked with you. But it was nice to get to know you in this book. You really, really had me laughing. It's fantastic.
Well,
it's fun to read a book.
Well, Amy, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's so surprising to get you out of your home and actually come up here, and I really appreciate it. And if you want to buy one of these books, you should go to premiercollectibles.com/Barry. And I just love you, Amy, and I thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you,
with
Barry.
me.
Really,
Thank you.
congratulations. I smell a hit. The reviews have been great.
That's the
It was in New York
coronavirus.
Magazine today. It was in the New York Times today. It's going to be a hit. And Mother's Day is
Okay.
right around the corner. And there's a lot about your mom in this. We didn't really touch on. Wow.
Wow.
And you turned out well.
Thank you, Amy.
I mean,
So did you.
yeah, too bad they're not alive to read it. You know what I mean?
Sorry,
No,
yeah,
seriously,
yeah.
too bad. I mean, you wrote a book.
Yeah.
A good book.
Thank you.
It's a good book. Bye.
Bye.